What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Business of Strength podcast. I'll be your host today, Dan Goodman. And if you hear the music and the clanging and banging, it's because I'm back in the gym at this fancy standing desk. And not a bad thing to have the gym busy the last week of August. Definitely happy about that. As we know, it can be a little bit slow the last week of August in northern New Jersey, Rockland County border, and probably for many of you listening to this as well. You need people back in the gym. So appreciate you listening to me here today. Quick reminder, we've got the gold standard in Park City, Utah at the Olympic Training Center. We've got some incredible speakers. The entire Varsity House crew will be there. We're shutting the gym down for 3 freaking days. We think it's that valuable. We have guest speaker Jenny Rierick, who's going to be teaching a public speaking workshop. We've got Bobby Maximus, former UFC fighter and GM of Jim Jones. As you know, we went through that whole process of getting certified. Great experience. And, our entire Business of Strength team will be there speaking, workshopping, presenting. And it really gets no better than the mountains of Utah, Park City especially. There's still time to get registered. If you want to be there, hit the link in the show notes and claim one of the final spots. We've got some incredible brand partners for this event. A lot of the regulars, but a lot of new ones that are going to be giving away exclusive deals at that weekend and are going to be really making sure that event continues to deliver. Today's episode really was inspired by a content shoot that I did with the Simmons Media crew, where it was just answering commonly asked questions that, to be honest, I didn't think were that big of a deal, right? A lot of these questions are being answered behind closed doors in our private members Facebook page, via DM, via email. As whenever we send an email, we always say, hey, if you have any questions, shoot us back. And fortunately, we do get some good questions and we are able to provide some great value to, strengthen the relationship between us and and consumer, which, which is you and gym owner. Hopefully this episode has provided you value that you're able to actually take and run with. That's the whole point of the show. Okay, so today I pulled out a couple questions that I thought would be applicable to most of our listeners. So I'm going to start. This was an easy one, but I think it's one that probably doesn't get talked about a tremendous amount. Pat asked me, "Hey, I'm paraphrasing some of these questions because they could be some of them are long, but this is the gist of it. Hey, I have a member. She's our client avatar. She's a great in the gym, and she is interested in becoming a part-time coach, but she's not certified. What should I do?" Well, it's a great question because I think this would present itself in quite a few gyms. And, we've had plenty of former clients turn into coaches in some capacity, some full-time, from like an Alex Plesic and Chris Eichler, who play huge roles here, to Lynn, who was a client here for years before becoming a part-time coach. And what I would say to that is, do they need to be certified legally? Again, legally, each state is different, but legally in the state of New Jersey and the state of New York, legally, no. You do not need to have a accredited trainer certification to train others. Now, do I think that's what you should base it off of at your gym? The answer is no. What I would suggest is that person can go to a local EMT, take a course to get CPR AED certified from day one, right? So there's a certain level of first aid and CPR certification that can happen in 2 hours. That's definitely something that I would do. The second thing is you can get this person started on a shadow process and following you around the gym, attending a coach's meeting, doing some real world application on the coaching side, and they could be assisting, set up, break down. You could be paying them to do these things as shadow hours as they're studying and as you should be helping them prepare for the test for a NASM CPT or something alike. You could set a date, you could hire them and say, hey, you need to be certified within 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And generally speaking, if you hire somebody that's competent, you should be able to roll them out to coach in your system within 6 weeks. And if you can't, it means that your system is too complicated, right? If they've been training in the system and they can shadow for 6 weeks, they can go and take the trainer certification. They should have the ability to coach on your floor in some capacity. And that's how I would execute the training process and getting that person certified. For us, we follow a 30, 60, 90-day plan that ensures that CPR is done, trainer certification is done, weekly attendance in the coaches meeting is done. There's a weekly check-in. All these things are done. There's also a lot of checks and balances, making sure that they're signed on to their technology. They have an email. They got um, the Varsity House welcome package, so they're on brand. We're trying to turn over all stones in that first 90 days. And you should have something that people that, if you're watching this on YouTube, something that is tangible that people can see, feel, and touch. I like pen and paper, old school, so they can follow that checklist and keep checking things off to make sure they're making progress towards becoming a professional coach, even if it's just 5 to 10 hours per week. So it's a great question, Pat. I think a lot of people have similar questions there. The next question's from my buddy Phil, OG of the Business of Strength. I'm going to paraphrase his question, but he said he's having trouble installing the training. And what I mean by that is, let's say it's August 25th today. Having trouble fitting in doing walkthroughs of the upcoming training plan. So launching the September training plan, he's launching it with what I would assume is a written text and YouTube videos. To me, when I think about coaching coaches, and I just said it before, but I think about what really helped me as a football player. Let's go way back 20 years. I'll never forget, I had a coach, Coach Gendron, and I sat in meetings for a year and a half, sat in meetings, and I was on scout team. And I really did not have a good grasp of the offense because I was always, pretty much a tackling dummy or running plays off a scout team card for the other team. I wasn't, I was watching it in meetings, I was seeing it go on the board, but I was never feeling it. I was never walking through it. I was never asking questions in real time where, it wasn't like practice at 100 miles an hour. And I will never forget, before my first college start against Maine, that whole week, I just was doing walkthroughs with Coach Gendron on the bags and just, you know, running plays on air. My buddy Frank was there too, and we were just walking through it just to see what it felt like. To the question of Phil, he's like, "Hey, I can't get this in because I have 1 hour each week to review everything." My suggestion to Phil is, hey, if there's 4 weeks in a month, the first 3 weeks could be all procedure and process about defensive scorecards, birthdays, milestones, whatever it is. Once a month, the week before the new program gets installed, I would do some like segue with 5 minutes of headlines, things that absolutely must be in the know. And then for 55 minutes, I would do a walkthrough of the primary exercises that are changing. Obviously, not all the primary exercises are changing, but let's say we're swapping out the primary lower from a barbell RDL to a elevated hex bar deadlift. All right, let's walk through the hex bar deadlift. Let's talk about the coaching cues. Let's talk about the regressions if somebody doesn't feel good stepping into that hex bar frame. And let's literally get on the gym and do some training for 55 minutes. And then you recap with the videos and the descriptions. So it's a 1-2 punch of applied knowledge on the floor, okay, and also circling the wagons with a written document on what the plan is going to be. And it's probably going to stimulate some questions a little bit differently. So to your question, Phil, when installing training, To us, we walk through it during a coaches meeting, and it takes up 95% of that weekly hour. If you're listening to this and you have people on your team, you have people on your staff, the trainer development never ends, never ends. And if you're doing none of it, start with 1 hour a month. If you're meeting weekly, make sure that one of those weekly meetings looks like a walkthrough, looks like training. At the end of the day, um, seeing is believing, but being able to feel it is in my opinion, um, really helps to be able to coach it. So another good question. All right, next question. This is from Liam. Again, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but the question is, if he wants to break into his own business, is it better to do it with a partner or to go at it alone? Now, look, that is a loaded question, but one that I'm very comfortable answering. As you know, I've had the fortunate opportunity to have a multitude of business partners, both in the gyms and in other projects. And by and large, it's gone well. Most specifically, obviously, with my longtime business partner, Joe, it's worked really well. It's something we could write a book on. And long story short here, I would say the statistics we can't deny. The statistics would tell us that most of the time, I don't even know what they are, but I'm just going to assume that 80% of the time, business partnerships don't work out, especially pertaining to small business. And I can weigh in as to why I think that occurs. I think that occurs when there is a money partner. So, a money partner and a working partner. So there's somebody that has the capital and there's somebody who's got the skill and the time to do the work. The problem occurs when there is a capital partner that is very opinionated but does not want to do any of the work. The greatest misconception is that just because you made money in another field means that you know how to make money in the gym game. So let's just say you are you're somebody that works on Wall Street. You probably have a great idea on how to make money. You probably have great idea on consumer insights in a gym. That's awesome. But you might not know how to train anybody or develop a trainer. Like the two don't coexist. And if you are super opinionated or rushing things along, it could add a lot of unjust pressure to the trainer or coach. And I look at the partnership between uh, Joe and I from the very beginning. We had very similar goals, and we were both willing to get in the boat, roll up our sleeves, and row hard in the direction that we were trying to go by doing the damn work required. And it essentially allowed us to row twice as fast when we were both going in the same direction and we both knew what jobs we were going to have. At the end of the day, business partnerships take humility for sure. Um, they take a tremendous amount of trust, and commitment that, hey, this is what we signed up to do, and we're going to do it, hell or high water. Like, we're in this thing together. And that is the mindset that it takes. I would not take on a business partner I wouldn't say ever, but in most scenarios, if the only factor or the only thing they were bringing to the table was money. And a lot of times the partnership deals that I hear, that's all they are. Now, in terms of business partners, my mindset towards partnerships could be different. There's zero chance, if I wasn't given a chance at a young age to be a business partner, that I would be on this podcast right now, or maybe even be in the gym game. So I'm very fortunate to that. And I see in law firms, accounting firms, engineering firms, they have these partnership paths. In my mind, why can't we do the same thing? Right? Why can't we do the same thing in gyms? Why can't we make facility leaders or key men and women in our company? Why can't we pull them to the money and pull them towards equitable shares? I think we can, and we have, as a company, and we will continue on that path. So I'm a believer in it, but Liam, specific to your question, I would make sure that that partner um, was willing to work, or if they were a capital partner, they truly were, you know, um, I hate to say like silent because it's okay to have an opinion, especially if you're dumping a ton of money into something, but that they're going to let you work, that they're going to give you a leash of years to formulate the plan and have it execute. So I would say specific to you, Liam, if you can do it on your own, try to give that a shot. Try to keep your expenses as low as possible. Um, and yeah, that's a tough one. We could write a whole book on that. But listen, at the end of the day, we're living proof that it can happen, it can work, and it has here, and I'm very fortunate and grateful for that. So good question. All right, last question that I will answer here. So my guy Eric is opening a brand new gym, his second location. He is absolutely crushing it, and he's asked a lot of questions, but I think this question is most pertinent to listeners, and it always comes up when people are either launching a gym or hoping to launch a gym. So he's looking to launch right after Labor Day. His pre-sale is going well. I think last we spoke, he was knocking on the door of 50 customers, which is awesome. But he said, how many sessions should I open with? And this is one that people do way too much based on feel. Well, my clients they need mornings, they need evenings, they need 7 days a week. It's like, well, do they, or do you think that they do? Like if you're selling small group personal training, you don't want sessions that are underutilized because they'll have no vibe, right? And in Eric's case, where he's commanding and conquering multiple locations, he can't coach in both buildings. So what's he going to be paying? He's going to be paying for service time, right? And we have to make sure that we're not over leveraged on service time as we're in the business of selling time for money. So what's the equation here, right? What's the equation that we look at? And stay with me here. So what you're going to do is take let's say your opening target. Let's say Eric's opening target was 80 members to launch with, right? 80 members to launch with. Let's say that the primary offer of what they're purchasing is 2 times per week. Again, it could be 3, but let's just say for the sake of this, it's 2 times per week. Okay, so we have clients times their frequency. So we're going to take 80 clients times the frequency that they buy, which is 2. All right, that obviously takes us to 160 time slots. 160 time slots. All right. The other factor here that you have to think about is out of 80 clients, if they all buy 2 times per week, what is the actual show rate of all 80 people? We know it's not 100%. So if we took a number, I'm just going to take the number 90%. All right. What does that shake out to be? And we could do this right here. I didn't even do this before. We could do this right here on the call. So we have 80 members times 2 is 160. If I multiply that by 90%, that means that we have 144 spots, right? That's how many spots per week we're going to need to have available. If I divide that by the amount of people that I coach per hour, let's just say it's 6, that means that we need 24 training slots per week to be able to accommodate those 80 members. Now, you might say, yeah, but Dan, like there's going to be, there's going to be wait lists, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. Look, at the end of the day, the equation we just gave you is what is going to be required. Now, if you have the wrinkle of people doing 3 times per week or 4 times per week, obviously you need to factor that in to your equation and really multiply by the true frequency, the mean true frequency. But chances are 90% our show rate is where you're going to be at. If you wanted to layer in a few extra sessions to relieve the pressure valve, that's fine. But your core number would be 24 sessions is the core number that's required for you to go 6 for 6 in 24 sessions. Now, do you want six people bursting at the seams for all 24 sessions? No, but this gives us a framework. So I would tell Eric, hey, if our number is 24, all right, well, I think it would be safe to say, Eric, that if you opened with 28 sessions, you'd be fine. I wouldn't open with 40 sessions. I wouldn't open with 44 sessions, which a lot of gyms do. And I would keep working this equation. All right, when we get to 100 members, how does it change? Well, doing the math here. 100 times 2 is 200 times 90%. All right, let's do that math right now. If you're staying with me, 100 is the total number of clients times 2 is the frequency is 200 times 90% utilization or show rate. That's 180. 180 divided by 6, which is our session size. That's 30 sessions per week. That would be the bare minimum to be able to service 100 people. Doing 2 days per week, I would say at 100 clients, 34 to 35 sessions would be the appropriate number. So that's how you get that. I think, when we get on calls with people, one of the biggest mix-ups is people are either severely overpopulated with the schedule or severely underpopulated with the schedule. This formula right here, although not an exact science, is how I would back into our goal membership total. And it would be something that I would evaluate quarterly. So, Eric, keep selling, keep crushing, keep doing a great job. Look, I love doing these Q&As. I know Adam and Joe do as well. Whatever questions that you have, you could shoot us those questions at bos@varsityhousegym.com. You could also DM us on the Business of Strength Instagram page. You could DM my Instagram page. We always love to answer these questions and serve the gym owner and fitness professional that is trying to turn their passion into a career and a true profession. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend, leave a 5-star review, and I hope to see you in Park City, Utah. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out.